I'm Chris Miera. I'm the director of Pass. Pass tells the story about a long relationship about over 15 years of a couple, and it tells mainly about relationship, but also about a child who's growing up, and about dynamics, how a couple comes together and how it maybe splits up, and maybe what's going on after that. So it's a movie where you can explore relationship and maybe you find something about yourself.
Max, guck mal. Du weißt noch, wo du den Film einlegen musst? Ja. Du musst dir hier auf. Ich weiß, okay. Pass gut drauf auf. Mach ich.
Und wenn ihr dazu kommt, du schreibst halt.
Ja, ich schreibe.
Okay.
Ich schicke euch Fotos, ich schreibe euch. Wollen Sie Andreas den heute hier anwesenden Martin bitte zu Ihrem anvertrauten Ehemann nehmen? Bis in alle Ewigkeit die Treue schwören und so weiter und so weiter. Dann sagen Sie es, ja, ich will.
Nö.
Dann werden wir uns heute nicht mehr vereinigen.
Das bist du nur für dich alleine haben.
Ja, natürlich.
Ja, ich will. Gut, das brauchen wir noch. Ich hab's ein bisschen eilig.
Ja, überleg doch mit, wenn du nicht deine Haus willst.
Ey. Ja, stundenlang.
Andreas, ich habe das Gefühl, du bist nur noch in deiner Werkstatt. Ich weiß langsam wirklich nicht mehr, was ich machen soll. Mache ich irgendwas falsch? Ich weiß überhaupt nicht, was bei dir da vorgeht.
Paranoid oder was?
Ich bin nicht paranoid. Ich will einfach wissen, was in dir vorgeht. Rede einfach mal mit mir wieder, okay? Von Mensch zu Mensch. Nicht nur Werkstatt und irgendwie Bett.
Welcome, Chris Miera. You did make Path. This is your graduate film from the Konrad Wolf Film Academy.
Yeah.
So is it also your first film dealing with the queer content?
No, actually no. I did several films. For example, I worked for the the Mahnmal, so for the I don't know the actual because it's such long to the homosexual Mahnmal at the Potsdamer Platz.
The memorial for the murder.
I did the DOP and the editing of the film, which is now running again. But it was like a project lots of years ago, and then I did for the Cottbus Festival. They had a queer feature, and we did 4 festival trailers for them, and we used 4 couples, like 2 girls, 2 guys, and all the 4 actors were like exchanged the whole time. So you didn't know which couple you would see. You would see a gay couple, a straight couple, a lesbian couple. So the audience was always seeing another film with another trailer, and they didn't know what kind of couple they saw. And the nice thing was that the audience didn't say it were 4 trailers. It was 1 trailer which is allowed 2 people coming together and loving each other.
Okay, so queer love and heterosexual love is equal. That's nice. So in opposite to most love films, your story sets in at the very end of the relation. They separate. And it's a very painful process and a very long process of separation. So what's fascinating you about the end of a relationship?
Well, I think the film mostly tells the whole time of this couple being together, and one part of this is of course that they split up. But I think what is really interesting is to see how the relationship develops over the time, and how certain behaviors come into place, and we didn't want to show that, for example, Andreas or Martin, one of them is the reason for the split up. We wanted to remove all this, so the audience have to fill the reasons and their own experiences about relationship. So when the audience sees the film, they found lots of things about themselves.
I mean, it's interesting that you just mentioned that the audience had to fill in the thoughts about relationship. So, I mean, what I thought the film starts with a very remarkable scene of a video call of the 2. They are separated for work reasons. So I thought, you get right away an idea of the whole dynamic of the relation. I mean, you can tell right away who's playing kind of roles. So, I mean, are these roles fixed? Of the actors like Martin and Andreas, like, I mean, they are like have fixed roles in the relationship. So, I mean, I think like there is the path like determined.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Andreas has a workshop, and he's rooted there because it's a long part of his history. That it's his father's workshop. So of course, this is what he's going to do. And Martin studied biology, and he has difficulties to find a job in this place. So there are reasons which come from the world and not from them that makes it very difficult for them to stay together. And I think that is some important reason, because mostly when you have a split up of a couple, then there are lots of reasons. Somebody's cheated, or they were not faithful to each other, or something like that. And that is so easy, because you can say somebody did something wrong, or both did wrong, and all the many reasons they have are so, in this moment, so big, and they forget what happened all the years before, how they came together. And of course they had lots of really good times, but it is, when they split up, it's not important anymore. And I think with this film we can show somehow that when there is no yes and no, or no wrong and right, who is the first person in the whole process, then of course you have to start to think, okay, what happened with my relationships, or did I behave like that? And you're always very close to them, and you like them really as a couple, because they are so cute and how they get together, and you see why they love each other so much, and you also know why it's not going to work out maybe for them after they split up.
That's true. I mean, in the first sequence, it's like quite clear that they have like very different needs of communication. The one wants to listen or to see the other. It's like, how did you come up with this idea?
We wrote, I wrote the script together with Philipp Österle, my screenwriter, and we started to collect lots of little bits of scenes where we saw that could be interesting to show. When you say we want to show some kind of a big relationship over a long period of time, then there are certain moments where you say, well, there could be a reason why something happens with this couple, and we collected them. And one of the topics was that they have a long-term relationship and cannot live together because Martin has to work in another place, and so there has to be some kind of communication through them, and the Skype call was, a possibility to show how they handling that after they live together their whole life together. And it's some kind of normal for, I think, the younger generation that that relationships are one thing, and the other thing is that you have to do a career, or that and the work sometimes makes it necessary that you have to stay in another place. And it's not so common to say, well, we're living here as a couple, and we have to stay here.
You mentioned already like their different backgrounds. I mean, Martin is a biologist, and Andreas is running the workshop, the carpenter's workshop of his father. So, I mean, what's even more complicated, Andreas is the father of his son. So, and the trauma of the sudden death of the mother of the kid makes things more complicated. I mean, they take Max to their home, and they're suddenly becoming a family. That's quite interesting. So what did this change in the relationship?
Well, I think it's always about responsibility, and they come together, and Andreas is not like showing that he has a child, because at the beginning he doesn't know what's going on with his relationship with Martin, and he has kind of humor about that. So when Martin meets Max the first time, they get to know each other really, really well, and so they already there start to get a connection to each other. And when the mother dies, for me it is the most important thing is that Martin says to Andreas, well, I will take the responsibility to help you to that Max has a good childhood and it can grow up in a good environment. And of course, Martin is an influence. And at the end of the relationship, when Max is much more older, we see that Max, sees them both as his fathers. And even if then they split up, it's still that they are both his fathers. So for me, that was important to show that the film is not about how Max is growing up. It's something what happens to them, but you can see that they are a family and they have their values as a family. And of course, Max is the most important part of them. Of course, when they're a family.
I think it's quite interesting when they break up. Finally, Andreas is feeling some jealousy towards Martin because Max and Martin are quite close. So I mean, it's very well. I mean, it's the two actors are not gay, I think, right?
Yeah.
So was it hard for you to rehearse the scenes, the love scenes, and to make them queer or to make them act queer?
Actually, I didn't want them to act in any way queer because I thought, we were just telling a story of a couple and that's all. I didn't care if they're gay or straight. I mean, we could have shot the film with a straight couple, lesbian couple, but also worked to tell the same story. And the actors, I casted them separately. Got to know them and talked about relationship. And the second step was to combine the actors which are in the pool of maybe to shoot with them. And they had really good chemistry between them. I asked them to play some scenes of the film. For example, when they're at the beach and Andreas tells Martin that there's some other lover in his life, and that scene, and they were so cute already together in this scene. So I knew that if they play that together, I won't have any troubles to give them that they play a couple.
I mean, you just mentioned the scene at the ocean. So the nature is quite important within this movie, the setting, the forest, the highlands, and of course as I mentioned, the ocean. So are these settings a symbol of their very own kind of relationship?
No, I feel that we are very close in one relationship, but it could also be a relationship of all the relationships, and somehow, in a modest way. They're not very special, or they are not it's not a Cinderella story. So it's just a couple, and they are we're always close, and we observe how the relationship is going between them. And of course we need sometimes to do a step back and see and get a relationship to the world which is around them, because we are in a vacuum of their relationship and we not know what are their friends doing. So there's nothing in the movie about that. It's just them and the relationship. So when we go one step back, you think, okay, well, what's the meaning about that? I'm not close anymore to the couple for a second, but I find out how maybe I see what's going on, or how I would behave in a situation like that, or maybe your head is starting to think about what was going on. So it is always a way to show the world and our little couple in it. It's to get a.
It's a certain dynamic.
Yeah.
I see. So, I mean, I was overwhelmed, a very different question, by the way, when I saw the credits. You have been not only responsible for the script with your co-writer, but you also did the cinematography, and I mean, furthermore, you are the producer of the film. Was it hard for you to manage all these different jobs during shooting?
It was very difficult. But I like to do my own camera work in several in several kinds of movies like this one. When I'm very close to the actors, they need to feel me, and they can feel me through the camera. And I did the whole film with handheld camera, so I was always very close to them. And it was like like dancing with them together. They felt me, I felt them, so I could move over, and that's something I can do with them in a very intimate space. There were not many people around us. There was a sound guy and me, mostly in the scenes. So, for example, you mentioned the scene when they have love together. We're just us four. So that is really fun to shoot, and you can try all these things out, and you can look around 360 degrees because it's possible. And that was maybe the main reason to shoot it like that way, and not to have 30-40 more people around us, which is always nice because you have a more easy way of shooting, but in this way you have it more intense, and you need to work, because if you don't start to shoot, then nobody will tell you have to shoot.
I mean, clearly you can see the intimacy that's created by this small team, the two actors, but also the small team. It's really nice. My last questions, I'm curious, are you working already on a new project?
Yes, I am. I'm now Meisterschüler. I'm a dedicated student of one professor, of Barbara Albert, and I'm doing 2 more years of studying and writing for a script, and it's about a very close friendship, which is not very easy to define if it's love or friendship. It's bringing all these things, and we combine this story with a genre like thriller. So it gets another motivator in it, so we don't have to deal all the time with feelings. It is the main reason to tell the story, but we have another motor which makes it maybe more exciting for the audience to do that. So that's the thing I'm working right now.
So good luck for your upcoming project. And when is your first screening here at Berlinale Film Festival?
We're screening on Monday at 7:30. And it's our premiere, and on Thursday on 12:30. I'm not sure about that, and at 9 o'clock.
Okay, good luck for that too.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming.
Sure.
Chris Miera.
Dann werden wir uns heute nicht mehr vereinigen.
Bist du noch sicher alleine haben?
Ja, natürlich.
Ich will. Gut, das brauchen wir noch. Ich hab's ein bisschen eilig.
Ja, überleg doch mit, wenn du nicht deine Haustür bist.
Ey. Ja, stundenlang.
Andreas, ich habe das Gefühl, du bist nur noch in deiner Werkstatt. Ich weiß langsam wirklich nicht mehr, was ich machen soll. Mache ich irgendwas falsch? Ich weiß überhaupt nicht, was bei dir da vorgeht.
Paranoid oder was?
Ich bin nicht paranoid, ich will einfach...
Du weißt noch, wo man den Film einlegen muss?
Ja,
Du musst dir hier auf.
ich weiß, okay. Pass gut drauf auf.
Und wenn ihr dazu kommt, du schreibst halt.
Ja, ich schreibe euch.
Okay.
Ich schicke euch Fotos, ich schreibe euch. Wollen Sie Andreas den heute hier anwesenden Martin wieder zu Ihrem anvertrauten Ehemann nehmen? Bis in alle Ewigkeit die Treue schwören und so weiter und so weiter. Dann sagen Sie es, ja, ich will.
Nö.
I'm Chris Miera. I'm the director of Pass. Pass tells the story about a long relationship about over 15 years of a couple, and it tells mainly about relationship, but also about childhood who's growing up, and about dynamics, how a couple comes together and how it maybe splits up, and maybe what's going on after that. So it's a movie where you can explore relationship, and maybe you find something about yourself.
Guck mal. Einfach wissen, was hier vorgeht. Rede einfach mal mit mir wieder, okay? Von Mensch zu Mensch, nicht nur Werkstatt und irgendwie Bett.
Welcome, Chris Miera. You did make Path. This is your graduate film from the Konrad Wolf Film Academy.
Yeah.
So is it also your first film dealing with the queer content?
No, actually no. I did several films. For example, I worked for the Myanmar, for the I don't know the actual, because it's such long, it was the homosexual man at the Potsdamer Platz.
The memorial for the murder.
I did the DOP and the editing of the film, which is now running again. But you know, it was like a project lots of years ago, and then I did for the Cottbus Festival. They had a queer feature, and we did 4 festival trailers for them, and we used 4 couples, like 2 girls, 2 guys, and all the 4 actors were like exchanged the whole time. So you didn't know which couple you would see. You would see a gay couple, a straight couple, a lesbian couple. So the audience was always seeing another film with another trailer, and they didn't know what kind of couple they saw. And the nice thing was that